Welcome and thank you for tuning in to Cryptids, Creeps, and Conspiracy. The following content may involve explicit language and materials, so listener discretion is advised. Hi everyone, with me today is Traci and Samantha from the Suspended Sentence podcast. I was really afraid I was going to totally one. There's a lot of S's in there.
A lot of S's.
So I want to start off and give you guys an opportunity to let people know what your podcast is about, what you do, and that kind of thing, just so that they have an idea and they can.
You want to go? Sure. So the Suspended Sentence is everything true crime and how it relates to the mental health field. So a lot of our cases, we will cover the mental health side of why people do what they do, or if there's a mental health diagnosis and how that might play into criminality and the judicial system. But we also do interviews with serial killers, people that are in jail on life sentences. We've done quite a few interviews. Victims' families, survivors. So we cover anything true crime.
Yeah, I've been listening, and it's just the stuff I love when you guys give the little tidbits, you know, the safety, and the little tidbits you guys have with the safety, and I keep telling people about it. I'm like, you know, but especially for whatever reason, the one that stands out to me is when you guys mentioned putting like the air conditioner in and putting the bar in, and I didn't even think about that. I was like, holy crap! It's like
right.
I lived in a trailer, and I went to unlock the back door or the front door, and my key broke off in the door handle, just snapped off. So I was like, well, shit. So then, you know, I go to the back door and I use my spare key, and it snapped off in the door. And I'm like, what is happening? So I was out. So I very quickly learned how to break into my trailer. I could do it in 10 seconds, which was concerning to me.
Very.
And somebody else could probably do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I lived at the time, I lived alone. I was in college. I didn't have any kids. It was just me. And so having those little bits of information are awesome. And I need to turn that chime off. But, but yeah, and I was listening to the what did you guys call it? It was like the facts, the serial killer facts.
Serial killer trivia.
Yes, that was it. And I was like, oh, like some, you know, I couldn't remember the name, but I knew about the Monday girl.
Did?
Yeah, so I listened to covered it. I don't like Mondays either. I'm only a block from the school. I was like, but I was like, mercy.
So I think I was 19 or 20 years old, and I was dating a guy who, I'm so grateful for this guy, who we moved in together, and we had an apartment in Casper, Wyoming, and it was a ground level apartment. And his big thing was teaching me how to break into things so that I could protect myself from being broken into. And he was actually the one that was like, okay, so we don't have the key. And I'm like pregnant with Samantha at the time, right? I'm like 8 months pregnant. And he's like, oh, I don't have the keys. And I'm like, the keys are in your hand. And he's like, nope, I don't have the keys. How are we going to get in? And I was like, we're going to call the landlord. And he's like, no, we're not. And he goes outside and he's like, push on the air conditioner. And I was like, push on the air conditioner. He goes, just push on it. I pushed on it and it went right through the wall. And I was like,
I would have shit myself.
That's how easy it is for somebody to get into our apartment. Oh my God. And he's like, now let me teach you how to prevent that from happening.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I'm so grateful for him, because
that's amazing. Like to have, like I said, I was by myself, and I was just like, if it happens, it happens, I guess. And I lived out in the middle of really nowhere. I mean, I had neighbors on both sides. But there's like 3 or 4 of us in a row, and that was it. And we're like 10, 15 minutes out of town. And I thought it was awesome. And I've always been interested in the psychology and stuff like that. I've especially, you know, with the mental health stuff that I struggle with. And I want to try to, you know, bring awareness to people so that they have the resources and things that they need.
Sure.
And it's just really cool, because like I listened to that and I'm just like, oh, because that was like my favorite part of college was the psychology piece. And it's just, you know, something cool. And I love you guys, and I'm glad that I got to get you on here.
Super excited. Well, thank you so much for having us. We're so excited to be here.
Yeah, we're pretty big fans of you too. You do a really, really well job. You do a good job.
Awesome. Well, I get I get to pop my true crime cherry tomorrow.
Yep.
Doing my first. This is like really burning. Whew.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Oh, for those of you that can't see it on the video, because my videos are going to be on my Patreon page, I have this nice little mark that showed up right before we recorded. I have no idea what did it, but it looks like somebody kicked me in the face.
Like literally just
Literally
appeared
kicker.
out of nowhere.
Yeah. And it's really burning, and like my ears even burning. It's kind of weird. But yeah, so it's a little distracting. I'll try to get through it.
Trying to power through that.
But another thing too is, you know, with you guys, I try not to get very thing and stuff like that. Then, but with you guys, you know, you're talking about like this morning, my son was just out with this papaw. They were hunting, and doing and that kind of thing. I've hunted. I've grown up with that, and it's just always been part of it. And I actually think my cousin just got back from, I think it was Wyoming. They went on they went on a hunt, and he got something with a big brack. I don't know what it was.
Probably an elk
with antlers. But it was huge. That's all I know. But it's really cool to have you guys be very positive and knowing guns don't kill people, people kill people, and to be educated and know the difference. Is like when you guys were talking, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like, yeah, like my kid, it was like, here's the gun, here's how you use it. Even his toys, he'd have a little laser, and he was like, I'm like, no, you don't aim it at people, you hunt to eat. I was like, you aim to shoot, you shoot to kill. That's it, and you only kill it if you plan on eating it.
So that was always the rule. And like growing up, like my brother, if you point a gun at a person one time, that's like no more fake gun. It's not.
Yeah, and I never did squirt guns or anything like that because guns are not a toy.
And we don't either. It was, here's how you hold it, here's how you carry it, here's how you store it. Like, so we tried to, you know, make sure that he had that information even before he was old enough to do the hunter's education course and all that. Because here they don't offer it. You have to pay and go outside to a certain place and have it. So I got him in that. I mean, I took it, he took it, so we're all pretty much everywhere, and it's always good. But
yeah, well, and you know, we really think that, I mean, people don't have to think the same thing that we do for us to just be tolerant of each other. You know, we don't. Everything doesn't have to be up in arms and fighting and, oh my God, you believe this, so I can't listen to you, or I can't be around you, or whatever. You know?
And mine is I'm I'm a little different. I'm pretty open. It's basically, you know, pirate construction worker had a baby, and here I am. And I don't, this is why I have my disclaimer at the beginning of the episode. But it's just something that, you know, I'm like, people are people. I'm like, if you don't like it, don't listen. And that's what I do. It's like, you know, I'm not gonna keep bringing it up. It's the ones where I'm just like, oh, like some of them, like I loved them. I listened to them for a long time, and then all of a sudden it was just like boom, 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 and I was like, oh my God, I was like, I don't want to hear any more jokes about this. I don't want to. You know, I was like, and it was frustrating because I'm like, as far as their content goes, I absolutely loved it. I liked how they were structured, how they covered what they covered, and all of that. But I couldn't get past the banter. I just couldn't. I couldn't. So I just wanted to let you guys know I do appreciate that, because there's not a lot that I have found where I could, you know what, like that's a good point, or like I totally agree with that, or I've been there, like I can relate to it. So it is very refreshing to have that. So
well, thank you. Thank you.
And today, make sure we got the right one here. We're going to do the Ohio State Reformatory.
Ooh,
I'm so excited.
Blood prison.
I actually did an overnight ghost hunt there. So we're going to cover some of that as well.
Oh,
fascinating. Spooky. It's great. So you guys are ready?
Yeah, and in a disclaimer here, though, you got to throw in, we're completely blind. I didn't even know what you're covering.
Oh, yeah. So I like to do that to people. Well, if somebody wants to know, I mean, it's fine. It's just bring it. You guys don't worry about it. Like, I don't want you guys to have to do any additional research or anything like that. I'm like, I'll give you what it is. And then I can get, you know, different perspectives and outlooks on it and stuff like that. So a lot of people do ask me that. They're like, do I need to do anything? I don't want you to have to do anything except just show up.
And that's how we do our episodes too.
Yeah, we do the same thing. The reaction is always so much better.
Yeah. It's perfect. So you ladies ready to dive in?
We're here for it. Hell yeah.
Okay. In Mansfield, Ohio, there's a building that still stands even after the many years of dark history. And this building is the Ohio State Reformatory, which has also been, dubbed Mansfield Reformatory because of where it's located. And as I just said earlier, we did a ghost hunt and, in fact, did have a few experiences while we were there. I'll save those for the end, though, so we can get going on. The design of the building was developed by Levi Schofield of Cleveland, and they broke ground in 1886, and it housed 154,000 inmates over the next 94 years. So it had a long run. And Levi chose limestone as a building material. I don't know how much you guys have as far as paranormal exposure or anything, but
What?
yeah,
Those aren't real.
well, you never know. Well, some people really, when I say limestone, like limestone in particular, a lot of people say it's very good at conducting and like saving energy. It's kind of basically, if you build a building out of limestone next to a river or a pond or any source of water, you're basically putting a charge your own battery shit on spookiness in the near vicinity. The exact
sponge to soak
And
it
then
all
and
up.
then don't just build a building, build a reformatory on it.
yes,
Where
exactly.
you're going to torture and kill people and
Well, actually, well, we'll get into it here in a second, but the exterior was actually comprised of bricks and concrete, but they used a lot of the limestone, like in the core.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of has this Romanesque type style and it's kind of like a castle-like look. It's gorgeous. I mean, it was beautiful. And now I've got this. Okay, great.
what is happening?
I don't know what's happening to me, but I got like a big old mark on my face now. The reformatory initially was called an intermediate reformatory or penitentiary. I have a hard time with that word. Since it primarily housed inmates who committed offenses that were less atrocious, or for people that were too old for juvenile facilities, but probably could have, if it wasn't for their age, they would have been in one. And they really did initially start as they wanted to reform people, and they did at first they did a great job. They exposed their inmates to religion, which whatever, education, trades. You could work within the facility to earn things, and everybody can get a job and that kind of thing. And each prisoner was given about 18 months before they were released. Like it was kind of like a parole situation for everybody at 18 months. So 18 months, they would bring you in. How were you doing? Were you contributing to, their quote unquote society? And you had the potential to get released, regardless of the crime or the sentence that you had. And the first 150 inmates were placed in 1896. But as per the usual, the state revoked its funding in the 1960s. And we all know where it goes from here. It prompted the reformatory to abort the Reformation model that it was using and that was, being beneficial, and convert to a more maximum security facility type. By the time the 80s rolled around, the conditions of the facility were horrible. I mean, they deteriorated to the point where inmates actually sued the state and won.
Oh, wow.
For how bad the living situation was. And after the successful suit, they began construction on a new facility nearby. And that one, the old one, was closed for good in December of 1990. So just a few months after I was born. And now things are going to start. We're going downhill fast. From 1935 to 1959, Arthur, I have a hard time with this name, Glattke. It's Glattke.
Oh, okay.
So he was a well-respected superintendent, or a warden, as many people refer to it, at the reformatory. And his wife Helen was also held in very high regard with the prisoners. So everybody, they got along with the warden, and they respected him. They respected his wife. And back then, they kind of lived on site, basically. And but unfortunately, In November of 1950, Helen was injured when a handgun discharged while she was reaching into a jewelry box in the family's quarters, and she died of pneumonia after being admitted to the hospital 3 days later. She reaches in the gun. I'm assuming it didn't give drastic details, but my assumption is she leaned, it fell, and probably shot her somewhere in the chest area. And that's probably why she developed the pneumonia, would be my guess, with all the fluid and stuff build up. I don't know, but that would be my best guess.
I just wasn't expecting you to say pneumonia after you said gun. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, the pneumonia got her. It's like, whoa, hold on a second. That was in 1950. And then Arthur, her husband and the warden, experienced a heart attack in his office and died on February 10th of 1959. So just 9 years later. Yeah, many of the inmates and employees never got to leave the ground. Ever. Yeah.
Why are you looking like that?
She looks like she's got something there. Like she looks like she's holding on to something. Ooh, ooh. But at least 215 unclaimed bodies of those who fell victim to influenza, TB, other diseases, and violence were all buried in a joyless and uncelebrated cemetery on the grounds of the penitentiary. So they didn't make it.
So never left.
Ever.
Yeah. Literal life sentence and afterlife sentence.
Yeah.
They said that 2 of the deaths were guards that were killed in escape attempts. I hope they're not the ones haunting this place, because can you imagine having to fucking work every day?
I know.
Get a day off. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, son of a bitch. Here we pulling up, look down, like, let's do this. That's my worst nightmare. I mean, that'd be my version of hell, is having to go to work every day. Most of the violence was experienced far from the main areas where there were fewer prying eyes, the nooks and the crannies, and every place has them. The perfect place was a deep and dark, lonely place known as local control, aka the hole.
Oh.
Yeah. At least one of the inmates doomed to solitary confinement hung himself in the small space in the ground. I've seen the hole. It's literally just a hole. Think, what are those things you see on the road? Manhole covers. Okay, about that size. And it's just a hole, but the manhole cover is not solid. It's got the bars in it, and it's definitely creepy. Another
like can you lay down in it? Like, is it narrow like that?
Stand only. And what they're saying is because there's the bars on the top, they took something, I don't know what they used, whether it was their clothes or something, and they hung themselves from the top in the hole. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it gets pretty gnarly. And then another man was actually able to get his hands on the stuff to catch himself ablaze. He just burnt himself alive. Ugh. I can't even like, I don't know why you would go that route.
Yeah.
I think the hanging guy was probably had the better idea there. But one time the guards weren't paying attention, or they didn't really care per se. 2 men went into a cell and only 1 man came out. And it doesn't take any time at all.
Right.
Then in the 1930s, there were riots through the facility. 120 rioters were forced to share 12 solitary cells for a week. They were not given food. They were not given water. And you got to think, so you have 12 cells, which are solitary confinement cells, so they're smaller than the typical ones, and you have 120 people.
Holy shit.
So that's what, 10 per cell?
Yeah.
And
in a cell that's made for 1.
Yeah, no food, no water. We'll get into the other one, because there's some bad mojo up in that place. Now we can kind of get a little bit of spooky stuff. There's been reported that people have been pushed, punched from multiple unseen forces. I could personally attest to this, because it happened to me while we were on the third freaking floor. And when I say the third floor, I mean, when you go up, you're looking in the cell, and they got their poor little beds and whatnots. And you walk out of the cell and you've only got like a couple few feet. And then it's just like a tiny metal railing on the, and then it's down the bottom. And so when I was out there, I went with a friend of mine, and we went up to the third. We went around the first one, around the second one, and I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm not getting any vibes. Everything's fine. We go to the third one and we walk about halfway around, and we go around this corner, and it was like instantly, like I just kind of like hesitated, and I was like, something's down there. I was like, I don't know what it is. I was like, but there's something down there. And my dumb ass was like, let's see how far I can make it.
Oh my gosh.
So she's like,
let's go see.
Yeah. So she's behind me and she's scared to death, right?
Yeah.
And I make it through past the first cell. And I'm something, I was like, I could tell, like, it was really beefing up. I was like, it does not want me back here. It does not want me over here. And I got almost cleared the second cell. And then it was literally, it felt like somebody had my shoulders and was pushing me back the way I came. And I told her, I was like, go. Like, we got to go now. Like, leave, go, scoot. And like, we took off, and it just pushed me all the way almost to the end of the railing. And then whenever I turned and I cut the corner, immediately everything was fine. But whatever that thing was I just had to clear the corner. And I was screaming. I was like, go. Like, you got to run, girl. Like, we don't run. And I was just like, dude, I was like, it was like, I'm gonna run you over. And it was totally crazy. And the weird part for me was when we left, there was a security guard at the door that was, letting people out. And, if you wanted to walk to your car, because it's the middle of the night. And we stopped.
You went in the middle of the night?
Oh yeah, I was there from 6 p.m. to I think 4 or 5 a.m.
No,
Yeah.
don't.
No, thank you.
Don't sign me up for that.
No, thank you. In the daytime,
No,
maybe. Nighttime, nah, hard no.
Yeah,
No,
and
not going down.
we asked him, we're like, hey, how long have you worked here? He's like, oh, I've been here for like 5 or 6 years or something. And we're like, oh, has anything ever happened to you? And he was like, actually, there's this one thing. He's like, it's really weird. It's always on the third floor. And like, we perked up because we didn't say anything to this man. And we're like, oh yeah, like, what happens on the third floor? We're just trying to, kind of get some information. And he was like, it's the weirdest thing. He goes, there's this one cell, and he goes, I don't know what happens. He's like, but it was like something was trying to push me over the railing. And I was like,
let's go. It's going to push us over the railing. My God, let's go.
Yeah. I was like, dude, that just happened to me. And he was like, was it on this side? And he was like telling me exactly where it was at. And that's exactly where I was. And he was having the same thing. And I'm like, that is so bonkers. And
oh my gosh, I wonder who was in that cell. Did you like ask? Or
you
got the hell out of there.
I couldn't tell which one it came from. I don't know if it was like the third one or the second one, because it was like I almost made it past the one, and I'm like, it could have been anyone on that floor.
What was at the back of that? Was it all just cells on that floor?
Yeah, it was just the whole top and the square was just nothing but cells.
Ooh,
and the second floor was cells, but then there was a part that broke off. That was I don't know the technical word. This is gonna make me sound like such a child. The nurse's station.
Oh, okay, infirmary.
Yeah, infirmary. Yeah, infirmary.
Yeah. Jesus Christ! Together we got it.
We got it. We'll get there. But it was like on the second, and then you went off to the side, and then the first one was just a bunch of cells as well, and that was just the one thing. But
I wonder if though, like the levels in the prison were like levels of danger or conviction or something.
Too. But later I'll mention something that makes it not seem like that's the case.
Okay.
Well, yeah, but we'll get to that part.
Calm it down, Traci. Calm it down.
Oh no, you're good. That's a good point, because I thought about that when we were there, because I was like, I don't know how they separated people. I mean, obviously you have solitary confinement, which is different, and that's like in the basement. It creepy as shit. But
I'm sure.
Definitely got the willies down there. But some people claim to feel like a chill, like most people say, ooh, like I think it's cold and it gets kind of spooky and that kind of thing. Other people say that they could hear cell doors slamming, and they see dark apparitions kind of here, there, and everywhere. we got to see one. We had a shadow man. And this is where it's going to get kind of gnarly. Okay, so I don't think I have this in my notes, but because it wasn't in, when I went to do my research, I couldn't find it. But when we were there, the guy was giving us information more so than you could find online. And there's an attic space, and it's pretty good size. I mean, it's pretty big, and it's like off of the third, and you kind of have to like squirrel through there. But what happened is there was a high security prison close by. At one point, storms or some natural thing happened, and there's flooded. And shit, we can't have people there. We've got to move them. And so they put them all, a couple hundred, in this attic. There's no operations. There was no who did what to who, what were you in for? None of that. Just shoved them all in there, locked the door, and walked away. Yeah.
Oh, I wonder what the outcome of that's going to be.
Yeah, I guess there was, obviously some people did not make it. I'm sure there was other things that happened in there during that time. We walked in and we were just kind of walking, and it was just like, I'm like, dude, I'm like, something. I'm like, there's a lot of something in here. And we walked a little further back and a little further back, and then all of a sudden I just stopped, and I was like, something's behind us. And she was like, what? I'm like, there's something is behind us. And I was like, and she looks at me, she was like, do we turn around? And I'm like, yes.
You said yes.
I was like, well, because I was like, we gotta turn around. I gotta know what are we dealing with here? And I'm like, okay. And like, and we both, I mean, the hair just stood up, and I mean, I just was so uncomfortable, and you could just like tell that something was like looking at you. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, they go, and we turn around, and now keep in mind, there is one door, one way in, one way out, and that's it. We're in the back of this attic space, and we turn around, and right next to the door is this thing. Like, the best way I can describe it is almost like you ever see those cutouts people make? They're black, they're like a silhouette, and it's like a cowboy with his leg up, and he's got like, okay, kind of like that. Lose the hat, and it wasn't a cowboy, and it was just by the door, and we both just looked at each other, and then looked back, and then we turned back around, and we're like, okay. And we're like, what do we do? Like, we've got to get out of here. Like, how do we get out of here? And I was like, okay. I'm like, whatever you are, we see you. We know you're here. I'm like, but you've got to go. We need to leave, and you're by the exit. You need to leave. I was like, you got to go, like, now. Okay, we're going to turn around. Like, Mo was like, we're going to turn around. And we turn around, and he was gone. And we got the hell out of there. I mean,
were you by yourself? You and just
me and my friend. Yep. So what they do is they do like a structured thing where you kind of walk around with everybody as a group. And then you do a seance in the church. We'll get to that. And then after that, it's kind of like there's like a group of like 5 people that came, and there's like a group of like 10, and then there was like a couple couples. And so then you kind of like break off in your own little groups to kind of do your own thing. And then they go in smaller groups with the ghost hunter that was there, that professional, and you each get a chance to go with him. Is it me, or is things keep like getting dark on my side?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, and there was like
Yeah, you'll like it when you watch it back.
Okay. I was like, at least maybe it's whatever's hit me in the face. But yeah, it's totally crazy. But next thing I have on the list is the seance in the old chapel area.
Yes.
Okay, so I've never done a seance before. I don't know what the hell my cat's doing, but we go in there, and they still have the pews, right? They're still up, and there's nothing on the walls. It's just the door in, there's a door on the other side, and everything else is closed off. And everybody sat down. You just could sit wherever you wanted, and everything it was innocent enough. The guy had his tape recorder out. He would ask questions. He would, then we would pause, allow time for anything to respond if it wanted to. And then we would play it back because, as my clip I'm going to share with you guys shows, you don't always hear it while it's happening, but you'll hear it on the record. Yeah. So he would do that. He would ask some questions, and we'd play it back. And then we got to about halfway through. He was like, all right, every single person in here has to ask a question. any question you want. I mean, I could have been like, what'd you have for breakfast? What's your favorite color? Like anything.
Do not possess me.
Yeah, I don't remember even
Do not latch on
what
me and follow me home.
yeah, I was like, I don't even remember what I asked. About halfway through people asking questions, like I'd been fine the whole time, and then out of nowhere, it like hit me like a ton of bricks. I was so nauseous. I mean, I was literally scanning for a bag, a bucket, something, because I was like, I'm gonna puke. It's like I feel horrible. And I just like I couldn't even focus. Like I was getting all sweaty, and I was like, this is really weird. And I was like hot. I was like, what is happening to me? And the next person asked a question. It just, it was getting worse and getting worse and getting worse. This person asked it, and then something in the back of the room, it sounded like a sheet of metal fell and hit the floor, but there's nothing back there. But as soon as that thing hit the floor and we like moved, like we were all kind of like stopped, and then everything kind of like settled down and we went to the next person, I was totally fine. Right before something happened, it was like I was horrible. And everybody asked the question, we went through, and he played it back for everybody to see if we could find anything. And we started getting to the part where I was sick, and I raised my hand because I was like, hey. He was like, what's going on? Do you have a question? I said, yeah. I was like, I don't know what it was. I was like, but right here, I was like, I almost puked. I was like, what is my problem? I was like, I don't understand. I was like, I was so sick. And he was like, actually, he's like, you must be pretty sensitive. And I was like, I guess. And he's like, because sometimes if other things, if something's getting ready to happen, sometimes people are sensitive, it'll physically kind of like make us sick because of all the extra, going on, and we're picking up on it, and our body doesn't know what to do with it. So we just kind of get sick.
Yeah. Energy. Yeah.
And so he was like, oh, so like that was kind of reassuring to me that I maybe am not batshit crazy, and it really is a thing. But it's just like as soon as it was done, I was fine, and I was fine the rest of the night. It was
interesting.
Yeah. And we did go down because I just had to see the hole, right?
Obviously.
But I guess at one point they had multiple people down in the basement and in solitary and in the hole and in that kind of thing. And it rained substantially, and it flooded the basement,
no.
and they all drowned. Every single one.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah, like I don't remember if they mentioned them trying to even get them out or if they just left them. And the guy, we went down there, and he set like a chair in the middle of the room, and like was asking questions, and I didn't get anything like real specific. It was it was very awkward. It was uncomfortable. Something like I was like, I have something's in here. I was like, but it wasn't anything as specific as like before. And it was really ominous in there, and you could feel the sadness and stuff like that. And it was tough to get through. But a lot of people went to the infirmary thinking that would be where, the most stuff would be. But like I walked through there, and I was like, I don't think I got anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole thing, I was like, because I was like, well, we'll walk through, and I'm like, nah. I was like, nope, I'm bored. Like there's nothing here.
Right.
But everybody was like, they had all their meters and all of that. And I'm just like, there's nothing in here. Like, let's go. But like I said earlier, we would split into the smaller groups with the investigator and go through things. And my friend, as lovely as she is, they were like, okay, like pick a spot and we'll do some questions. We'll do some investigating in the spot. And my friend just shoves me in the front of the group, and she's like, trust me, follow her. And I'm like, okay, here we go. And so I'm walking, and I'm just, just looking at cell. I'm like, nope. And then I get to one, and I like take like halfway past it, and I'm like, whoop. And I take a step back, and I'm like, this one. I was like, I don't know what it is. I was like, but there's something about this one. I don't know. I was like, it's just something. And they're like, okay. They're like, are you guys all good with that? And they're like, yeah, sure. Like, they don't know. Let's listen to the crazy lady. But he goes, all right, so now I need 2 people. And he was like, you 2. So he picked me and my friend, and he was like, go sit in there.
You're like, this is the wrong one. I picked the one back there. Actually.
Well, what's funny is just in general, we are polar opposites. I mean, I'm very outgoing, and I'm loud, and I'm super generally friendly it's just I'm very bold and just she's shy and timid and reserved, and she wouldn't go out to meet people and all of that. She's just, so we go in and we're both sitting on this rickety ass bed that was the bed that was there. I mean, it's legit. And we're sitting there, and it's probably, the guy starts asking a couple questions. All of a sudden, we both just kind of looked at each other because we were like, I'm like, some doesn't feel like, I don't feel right. I was like, I don't know what it is. I was like, but it's not me. Like, I don't. And he's like, so what do you guys feel? Do you got anything going on? And I don't know why it's almost like I was afraid of her. I feel anxious and nervous. Like, I was like, I just want to run out of here. I was like, I am scared. I was like, I'm not scared of her, but I was like, I feel like I'm scared of her. I was like, it's really weird. And she looked at me and she was like, I don't know what it is. She's like, because she goes, I love her. Like, we get along great. She goes, but I kind of want to punch her in the face right now. Like, she's like, I am just so angry. And she's like, I want to hurt her and I don't know why. So we're going and we're doing it. It was very uncomfortable. And so the guy had like a sheet with all the cells and things and stuff. And apparently, in that particular cell, there were 2 roommates, and one roommate beat the second one to death.
Oh,
in the cell where we were sitting. Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
So it was almost, what I thought was interesting is it wasn't like our personalities matched up with the personalities. It was like we did the opposite.
Yeah.
It was really bizarre. And once we got out of the cell, we were fine.
And it's interesting that you both picked up on different energies.
Yeah.
That it wasn't confusing or conflicting or anything. That's
it was almost like whatever it was
I got this one.
I want you to feel this. I want you to feel this. And like with her, she's not sensitive at all. She's got like some experiences, but not a whole lot. And that's one thing I thought was interesting, was just because
the energy was so strong that she picked up on it too.
And we both were just like, I mean, just uncomfortable. It was just very awkward. And like I said, as soon as we got out, gone. Totally fine. It was.
I think that if they didn't like themselves, like each other that much, that they wouldn't want to be chilling in the same cell for all.
Well, they're clearly stuck there.
Well, that's where the limestone or whatever comes in, is because and with me, I wonder sometimes too all right, so you have the different kinds of hauntings, right? You have, well, supposedly some that are more intelligent. They seem to interact with things that are around them or people that are around them. But then you have the ones that are kind of like a broken tape on repeat. It's just like, it's literally just going through the motions, and then it's repeat, and it's like a videotape.
Yeah.
And you guys are giving me a weird look. I'm like,
your camera keeps, I don't know.
Oh, I'm not moving.
I know. It just keeps going black.
Oh, okay. Oh, so but yeah, it was really interesting, and just
don't come through the computer.
No.
Stay on her side.
This is the third one. It's me. It's not the. It's like when people are like, "Oh, you live in a haunted house." It's like, no, I'm the haunted in the house. It's
right. Just stay over there. Yeah. We're good over here.
Yeah.
But
it's so crazy, and I could always keep sage sticks in my car. So when we got out, we saged down, we saged the car, we did some little things and left. And I'm actually, next weekend I'll be going to Ashmore Estates to do an overnight hunt with my mom.
I'm sending you a package of Wyoming sage.
Oh, I will take all I can get. But this time, I've got a like a GoPro camera that's like night vision, and I've got my recording stuff. I've got extra batteries. Like,
you're ready.
But yeah, it's just some of the stuff I don't know kind of like what it is. It's just it's just quickly it can just go away.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That's crazy. So we did an episode on the 10 most haunted prisons in America, and the one that you're talking about is number 3 on the most haunted prisons in America. And do you remember, like, they would do lobotomies there? They would do, I mean, the shit that happened in that reformatory was absolutely insane.
Yeah. Well, and then the things I can't wrap my mind around is they started off so good. They really were initially, they really were helping people. And then per the norm, something happened, funding gets cut, you're overcrowded, and then we'll go through the cracks. And it's just really frustrating that we can't, that, and how much better would the facilities be if we weren't
reformatories back then? Though I guess I have a problem with that word just because I've like done so much research and that's my field, right? And I mean, they would specifically in this one, they would provide religion, give you exposure to religion, is the nice way of saying what they actually did. It was actually like, this is what we will believe, and you will believe it, and I will beat you until you believe it. So and if you still don't believe it, I'm going to chain you to the wall until you come over to the right way of thinking. And if you don't get that done in 18 months, I'm going to give you another 18 months.
Yeah. And my thing is it's not pick a religion.
It's pick my religion.
This religion.
Yeah.
And it's just, to me, I struggle because I'm like, I'm somewhat biased. And I know I've got a relative that I used to be, I'm not going to lie. I was very much, what is that, narco, whatever that shit is, it's supposed to save people. Me, I'm like, can't let them die. They're never going to learn. I never understood any of it. I was like, to me, I'm like, it's not a disease. You're choosing this. You're choosing that. Like, you have all of the control. You just aren't using it. But then again, I was on my medicine and I'd been taking it for a couple months. Everything was fine. And I ran out and I couldn't get to the pharmacy to get it for like a week. And I felt so absolutely miserable that I want to crawl. I want to rip my skin off. I just want to get out of my own body because I am so miserable. I was like, I'm like, to the point where it's like, man, I'm like, you're going to have to watch. I was like, because I'm about ready to walk in front of a moving bus because it hurt and everything. Like, it's like every cell in my body, I could feel it hurting. It's almost like they were getting ripped apart and I couldn't, nothing. Like, it would be like aches and pains. And it was, I would take medicine, like Tylenol, Advil, whatever. And I mean, it didn't even put a dent in it. And I was like, it finally hit me that I was, oh my gosh, this is what these people go through. And I never understood it. I couldn't wrap my mind around it. And so now I have a much more of an appreciation for, I mean, I still don't agree with a lot of it, but I'm like, I get it, because I'm like, if it was smoking something or a needle in my arm or whatever, and it was making me feel that way, you bet your ass I'd do it again. Sure. Just so I didn't think I was going to make it through it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you take that experience that you had and you take somebody, for example, who has schizophrenia. Medication for schizophrenia is like $800 to $1,100 a month. So you take somebody who can't afford that, who doesn't have access to medication. Do you know what street drug has the exact same effect as? Yep.
I know, because so one of my medicines, if it wasn't for my shit ton of insurance and going to a special pharmacy to get it, it's $1,800 a month for one. Yeah. And that's the one that made me feel like that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, I'm like, I get it. Yeah. Just like, with my ADHD, like I take Adderall. It just is. And I'm like, but if I don't take it, I don't feel like I feel, and I take a very small, like tiny little dose. It's only like 10 milligrams. Like it's, and I still like, I just feel it's almost like a flu, like almost like you got the flu with like super foggy brain.
Right.
And you just don't feel right. You just feel blah. And it's really hard. But now, I do have a little more understanding, and it's like, I get it. But I understand where I don't know what I'm going to do, because I'm looking for a new job. And the only reason that I can get the one I can get is because my work has its own pharmacy. And that's why I can get it. But I get all my other medicines at my pharmacy here, and I have to drive like 40 minutes to go get it. And the ones that are here, I'm like, if I get a new job,
what am I going to do?
What am I going to do?
Yeah.
I was like, I can't. I was like, you're going to have to at least give me something to help me get through the withdrawal of it, and there's not a lot of, because whenever I was out of it, and I was like, I can't get to it until, next week. I was like, is there any, I was like begging. I was like, is there anything I can do to make this not as bad? And they were like, nope. And that was it. There was no resource. There was no help. There's nothing. And
yeah, totally agree.
I totally agree.
Now, when was this prison built? What did you say? 18?
I think it was 1880. Prisoners were placed in 1896. Building was finished in 1886.
So 1896, before mental health was even a thing.
Yep.
And we know in 2023 how many mentally ill people are just thrown in prison because we don't know what the hell to do with them.
Yeah.
And so imagine what those cells were like with mentally ill people.
Yeah.
I mean, mentally ill wasn't, I mean, not that it's taken seriously in 2023, but it wasn't taken seriously at all, even in
it wasn't even a thing.
Right.
Like, mental health wasn't even a word, was it? Like,
no.
I don't even think it was a thing. And
yeah.
And I'm just thinking, okay, if I was unmedicated and you stuck me in the hole, or you in solitary, I would have lost it.
Or
and
locked you in the attic with all those other people.
Yeah, you stuck me with somebody else. Odds are one of us is gonna make it out, and it's probably me.
Right.
And it could be over something stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Like every little thing, and it's just, it amazes me that people would just not. And I understand there's some people that try to fake it and that kind of thing, but the ones that I'm like, I get it, or like people like me where I'm like, I see shit.
Mm-hmm.
I hear shit. I feel that it's like, I would have been burned at the stake so damn fast.
I was just gonna say that. I'm like, 100 years ago, girl, you'd be dead.
Yeah, I mean, this alone would get me fried.
Right. They would have burnt you.
Yeah. And there's an episode that I just recorded last week with Melissa from Ouch Was That a Ghost, and we went over like all of these weird things, like, and I'm like, man, if back in the day, I'd been screwed.
Yeah, you would have been a witch and you would have been burnt.
It's just, and even today, people are still like I'm pretty open about it. Hey, I'm bipolar and I have borderline personality disorder and I have ADHD and this is what I do and this is how I get help and all of this. And so, and I try to, and there's actually been quite a few people that since I'm so open about it, they'll come up to me and they're like, I've been having some issues with some stuff. Who do you see? How do I get in? How do I talk to you? And so I'm handing out that doctor's office's number like it's fucking candy at Halloween. And I'm just like, boom, 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 like, go talk to him. I'm like, just go see you talk to somebody. I was like, get the help, like call, whatever, trying to advocate that. And a lot of people are still very standoffish and they get kind of weird about stuff. And they don't understand it. They don't know how to handle it. They don't know anything, or they have such a skewed viewpoint of what they think it is. Yeah, it's like the moment you tell somebody, it's like, yeah, I'm bipolar, and then they just assume that you're just an asshole all the time. Like, you just get really mad all the time. And I was like,
no, that's not what it is.
I'm like, sometimes. I was like, when I'm manic, I get a little pissy. I was like, but that's because I don't sleep and I don't eat. But it's just really weird to try to get people to understand and that kind of thing. And that's one reason I like listening to you guys so much, because I'm just like, man, I'm like, they get it. Get it. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and chalk this up to I'm okay. I would love to visit again. I had a good time. I mean, it was a little spooky, but I did have a good time and met some cool people while we were there. And that kind of thing. It was great. While we were we actually stayed in a little tiny B&B. I wish I could remember where it was at because I would give them a shout. It was this little and it was in a town really close. They made the best fucking breakfast. And I don't eat breakfast, but I was like mowing this shit down. It was great. And they had little parfaits that were all cute. Oh, they were adorable.
Oh, nice.
And their house had everything was antique. So yeah, everything
during the day. I don't know that I'm gonna do a night tour.
But this is just a little B&B we stayed in, and we walked up and they had like all these old photographs and all this stuff and a lot of history in the house, and it was awesome. I mean, we walked up the stairs looking at her. I was like, and I was like, I don't know what it is. But there was this little, it was a little bench, like it looked like a little, like you know, sit down, take your shoes off or something. And it had like red velvet or something, or felt, or I think it was like velvety stuff. But I was like, there's something. I was like,
Yeah. So I mean, our phones will be right beside each other, and one or the other one will work, and the other one won't.
yeah. And it's like,
it has to do with how receptive you are to it.
Yeah. So we have, I'll go back and visit. I'm assuming day visits only for you guys.
Day visits for us. Yeah. No.
Okay.
I don't. Are you in for a night visit? Or are you only in for a day visit?
I mean, I feel like if you're gonna go, you might as well like go hard.
I don't know about all that.
Yeah, that a girl.
I mean,
And I really do want to go. So we need to just plan it and let's all go together.
We definitely should. The penitentiary. Sure as hell wasn't no hotel from hell, I guess.
How many stars would you give that one?
Yeah.
0.
we all got together and they took one big picture, and they emailed it to, you know, the email that you signed up with, and so everybody got a copy of it. And they did like pizza and drinks and coffee and stuff that you could have throughout the night. So it was really good, and then you could network and that kind of thing, and get to know people. It was really good. It was a good time. It was my first one I ever went on. But yeah, we should look it up and see what they got going on. I think we went during the summer. So that's the Ohio State Reformatory, and we'll have to get together and get hooked up. And again, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to go with me on our little journey here.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
Yes.
And it's fun. It's fun to finally do this.
Yep. So yeah, so I've been listening. I'm just like, oh, and it's so good to put a name, you know, with a face, and it's awesome. And I just happened to look over, and I saw their emblem, their logo was on a screen. And I was like, oh my gosh, I know you. And they were like, and I told them who I was, and they knew exactly who I was as soon as I told them my name. Yeah, we'll definitely have to do some looking, and I'll send you guys that file.
Perfect.
Yes, I want to see, and I think it'll be fun to rewatch this.
yeah, back here a little bit.
Yeah,
Say
you're
yeah,
not like
say-
that.
Yeah, my goal is to, you know, obviously have my audio and stuff, and well,
Keeps it nice and real for you.
but yeah, for everybody who's watching or listening or whatever, seriously, go on over, check them out. The Suspended Sentence podcast. They're great. Give them a listen. Don't forget to follow.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
having us.
It's not a problem, and hopefully I'll talk to you guys soon.
Very
Perfect.
soon.
All
Stay
right.
safe.
And that wraps up our episode for today. Please rate and review the show wherever you listen to help me out and make the podcast easier for others to find. And don't forget to follow on Facebook and Instagram, and check out the website at www.cryptidscreepsandconspiracy.com. There you can find episodes, links to the social media, leave a review, find the link to the merch store, and donate to support the continuation of this pod. You can also find the link to the Patreon page. I hope to see you next time.